Good morning. Elder Mike here. My wife and I are on a little road trip of about 4,000 miles from New Jersey to Denver and back. And just has me really, as I've been on this trip, thinking a lot about God's mercy and God's grace. Partly because He's had to show us some. As I was a knucklehead and drove too long at periods of time, tried to drive through a snow and ice storm, and God showed us mercy in getting through that. And just, being out here in beautiful weather. Here it is, the beginning of February, and having beautiful weather for a day like this. And we thank God. So, even got my little dog here. Quinn, come here, buddy. Come on. We got to show him some mercy and grace too. But just was thinking about it, because this mercy and grace that God shows us is such a critical part of our Christian walk. This mercy and grace takes just what is just salvation and moves it to salvation plus transformation, because it is Jesus' death and resurrection gives us salvation. Confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, and you will be saved. But it's the mercy and grace that God shows us that really creates a change in our lives. So I just wanted to do a series of short videos here on God's mercy and grace, just to make sure that we have it on top of mind so that we can actually walk it out and live it. Because it's really what we're going to start with today is what God's mercy and grace are not. And when we look at what God's mercy and grace are not, we're going to go to the book of Romans. We're going to start at the end of chapter 5 and move into chapter 6, because at the end of chapter 5, Paul is talking to the Roman church and to us at the same time about God's love. And he's saying that the law was added so that the trespass might increase. But where sin increased, grace increased all the more. And so he's saying this to let us know that there's never so far that you've gone that God will not chase you down and bring you back. But then it seems like he almost at the same time has this thought in his head, wait a minute, these people might misinterpret what I'm talking about here, and they might let this lead them astray. So he instantly, in the beginning of chapter 6, begins with verse 1. He says, "What shall we say then? Shall we go on sinning so that grace may increase?" Right? He's going, these people might think when I say that, well, boy, then I can just go on sinning, because if sinning brings about grace and grace is good, then my sinning can't be all that bad, right? So he kind of puts that question out there, which is ridiculous when we think about it to believe it. But sometimes don't we live like that's the case? But then he instantly answers that question and he says, by no means. We have died to sin. How can we live in it any longer? That's right, that this sin, that this mercy and this grace that God gave us is not so that we can continue to live in the sin, but so that we can change our way of life from sin. And the thing is, I think the key is not to focus on and appreciate so much the gift of the mercy and grace that's given us, but the love with which it is given. Because if we focus on the love with which it's given, it's going to put in our hearts to obey and to walk this walk better, because we may have a higher burden burden is the wrong word. We may have a higher standard to live by as Christians, but the burden is lighter because it's done in love. And when I think about it, there's a sociological phenomenon that kind of correlates to what I'm talking about here. There's a common sociological phenomenon called affluenza among young, wealthy individuals who were brought up and mom and dad gave them in love. Mom and dad gave them everything that they wanted. And with everything that they wanted, they felt, they developed this anxiety this constant depression, this constant feeling of emptiness within themselves. Why? Because they didn't appreciate the love with which mom and dad gave it to them. They were more focused on the material possessions. See, if they focused on the love with which it's given, now they would feel fulfilled. They would feel secure. They would be able to show that love to more people. They would get more love from people, and it would fill them up, and they wouldn't have the anxiety, the depression, the feeling of emptiness. But because they're focused on the material possessions, they're chasing after the material possessions, which will never fill you up. They make you feel good for a minute, but then what happens is when after that feeling wears off, all of a sudden now, right, you're feeling empty again. You go, I need more, and then you're constantly pursuing something that will never fill you up. So I just want to warn you about this. With God's mercy and grace, don't just focus on the mercy and the grace, the gift, but focus on the love with which they are given. Because when you do that, now that you've received that kind of love, you can go out and share that kind of love as well. That when you focus on the love with which it's given, now what happens is you can love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and just as important, you can love your neighbor as yourself. And so I just want to encourage you this: don't take on a case of spiritual affluenza, but focus on the love that God has that drives him to show you that mercy and that grace. And you will see that you're walking better. You'll see that you're walking taller. You'll see that you're holding up that higher standard with a lighter burden. So God bless you. I pray you have a blessed day in the Lord. And never forget that Jesus loves you, and so do we.